All right, you're good.
Yeah?
I may leave right now. Huh?
I'm fine.
He's fine. Are we good to go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, that was just,
Getting all of this.
okay, so, all right, Dad, happy 90th.
Thank you, sir.
And,
Speak up.
so we're gonna have to make this legit, this party legit. Can you tell everybody what your birthday was?
What my birthday was?
Yeah, what day?
How am I supposed to know? I wasn't there. Well, I was, but I don't remember.
Let's go, I don't need the sarcasm here, let's,
What, March 8th, 1928?
1928.
28,
Okay.
you sure that's the right year?
Yes.
Am I sure it's right? I'm sure it's right. 1928, yeah. It's a long time ago.
What hospital were you born in?
Are
Do you
kidding?
remember?
Are you kidding?
No. Like where? Where in the city?
In Chicago, on the east side, whatever. I don't know what the name of the hospital was.
No.
No.
Okay, so at that point, where did you guys live? What was your address, or where was
When I was born,
mom and dad living?
close as I remember, probably 94th and around St. Lawrence, the east side.
Yeah, St. Lawrence. I don't even know where that is. Yes.
It's east, you know, between, near Cottage Grove, around 95th Street. And then a 3-flat or 6-flat
Now, were you the oldest, the youngest, or
in the middle
in the middle?
of two women,
What were your sisters' names?
Joan and Eleanor.
Who was older?
Joan.
Joan was the eldest. Yeah.
Right.
All right, so we're gonna
About a year and a half apart.
year and a half apart.
Mhm.
I'm gonna skip ahead to grade school to move it along. So, what were your interests when you were growing up?
In grade school?
Yeah, like did you have like sports? Were you into arts? Were you into a musical instrument, or what were you in grade school? What were you involved in?
I don't even remember. Probably more the sporting end of it.
Yeah.
I can tell you one thing, Rick, he had a paper delivery boy.
No, that's...
In grade school?
That's beyond that. That's beyond that.
When did you first meet Howie Oshman and Don Brinkman and your good friends?
Well, we kind of grew up with those who were my, best man, and kind of grew up together in the Brainerd area of Chicago.
Was that from grade school though? I think
Yeah, kind of from grade school on,
early on.
early on,
Yeah. So they were all living in the same.
in the same area. We all went to the same high school.
Did you play any instruments, or were you in a?
Well, I played the piano until the last piano lesson I took, then I quit.
What year was that?
Who knows?
He was on the football.
1940, when you were 12.
Yeah, Grandma
So you
probably,
didn't play that long.
Grandma probably thought I was pretty, that we had a baby grand piano in the house, which they were not, they were not wealthy, but they had the baby grand piano, and my sister played it, and both sisters played it better, more than I did, but I was more the, I don't know what, but when I had my last lesson, that was it.
Did you ever hear
Cut him off.
Did you ever hear Forfort play the clarinet or the flute?
No, he played, my dad had a flute, but that was, by the time we grew up, his flute needed some, more fluid in it. But he had played he had played in a small group together in Sweden, you know, with the flute. I think he was probably pretty good at it, but we really didn't, you know, we didn't know that much.
Yeah.
Or I
So when
didn't.
he was younger,
When he was younger, he did that because he was in his 30s before he got married.
So let's stay on that topic. When did your dad, Emil,
Yeah,
come over here from Sweden?
that's a good question. He came over once early in the 1900s, and then I forget the whole story. I really should have read it before. I knew this was coming. I'd have gotten the history, but anyway, then he stayed for a while, but then he went back to see if he could make it in Sweden, and he again decided he couldn't do it, and then he came back and went to school, you know, in nighttime school, and then he went to work as an electrical engineer at Commonwealth Edison.
There's pictures of him making shoes from Sweden.
Well, that goes back when he went back or before.
Yeah.
That's a little town in Bjursa, Sweden, where he grew up. But you know, there was just no opportunity for them then.
Yeah.
So when did,
He played on the football team at
yeah, we're getting there. So just sticking with your dad, since I really didn't have that in here. So when he came over here, when did he meet your mom, Signe? Was that through? Is it through church or was
No,
it through?
they met up in Michigan, where my mother came from. She had 7 brothers, so
What was he doing in Michigan?
I don't know what friendship he had with, you know, with her brothers.
Yeah. Oh, so through her brothers.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably. I don't know the whole connection, but I don't know where the connection was. But
Yeah. Do you remember how long they were married then?
over 50 years.
yeah, they had their 50th wedding anniversary, so it's got to be a little over 50 years.
Yeah. Well, how old were they when you guys were born?
Well, they were older. That's why we were probably a year and a half apart. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, he was probably,
In his 40s?
well, no, he was married in his 30s, but you
Well,
know,
right, but when you were born, he probably was
yeah, close to 40, probably.
kind of like you and I.
Yeah.
You were 72 when I was born.
It's all right. I can
So,
I'm not gonna go into that one.
where did you go to high school then?
Went to Calumet High School.
Calumet High School. So that's a big high school in Chicago.
Yeah, you're in a district, and we were kind of on the border. I could have gone to 1 or 2 schools. I could have gone to what they call Morgan Park, which, you know, Joan's sister went to, Carol May.
Yeah.
But I could have gone there, but very few of our kids from the grade school we were in, we all went to Calumet.
So in high school, what were your interests in high school? Did you do any sports there, or?
Eventually, yeah, I got on the football team in the last, probably as a junior or senior, really. You know, some of the guys I grew up with,
Did you fill some spots?
they said, come on, we need you. That's, you know, it was a little different than it is today. You know, not that recruiting. They said, so I went out and I played and I got in the team, but we practiced out in the back. I remember that part of it. Back of the school. It was
Not a great facility.
oh, it was like like hard clay,
Were you wearing the leather helmets back then?
barely.
Um, so, were you a good student in high school?
What?
Were you a good student in high school?
Who knows?
I
I think I finagled my way through. I was on the National Honor Society, but how I got there, who knows? In fact, I was senior year, I was president of the National Honor Society, but it was, it was like Chicago politics. I don't know how I got it.
Yeah. There's 2 people involved.
Yeah.
So I remember Nana, your mom, telling us a
Well,
story about sometime you got in trouble, you disappeared, and then
I never.
they found you on a railroad track, and she was so upset that
He was riding his bike on the railroad track.
No.
was that it?
Yeah.
And
How do you know?
she, hey, listen, this is the
I was
story
there.
as I remember it. She said that she would kiss you and then she would spank you, and then she'd kiss you and spank you because she was so happy that you.
Are you listening to Nana?
I'm listening to your mom telling
Yeah,
me
right.
the story.
Okay. Well, but mothers have stories, so.
So what's the story? We're gonna break it out right now. We're gonna get down to the truth.
Who knows where I was at that age? Probably took off and wandered, and probably wound up on the railroad tracks.
How do you wind up on the railroad tracks?
You could do it then.
Yeah, I told you the
Hey.
real story.
know all about it.
Let's head over to the railroad tracks.
These are all stories. She said, well, what'd you do if a train was coming? I'd jump to another track.
That's why I asked first if you were smart in high school, because I knew that playing on the railroad tracks was the next
I
question.
wasn't too smart. Where'd you get this narrative?
So, did you ever have a girlfriend in high school?
Oh, at least, yeah.
At least.
Numbers owed me on. No, really just one.
Yeah.
What
What was her name?
Now, how am I supposed to remember that? Probably Barbara Hitz was her name.
Yeah. Does mom know about old Barbara?
Oh yeah.
We're opening up the old.
No.
You look for her on Facebook?
Yeah. Hey, Emil, look up Barbara Hitz.
Is this my interview?
All right,
or-
so after high school, you chose to go to Purdue
No,
University.
Went to Navy first.
Okay, well, that was kind of my question. Did you go, what was the process there? Was that after college or before?
No, out of high school, the draft was still on. So
All right, well, that was another question. Did you decide to go, or did they draft?
You
Yes,
would have been
question.
you would have been drafted in the Army, but I decided to join the Navy instead. I didn't want to go in the Army.
Yeah.
I didn't know why, because I knew nothing about the Navy.
So that was right out of high school. So you were
Yeah.
maybe like 18 years
I
old.
was still 17 when I joined.
Really?
Yeah, Nana had to sign papers to
Send you off?
send you off, and she'd have brothers that, had been in the First World War, so I'm sure she wasn't too happy. But anyway,
And when you
the
signed,
war was over then, so I was just lucky.
which war was that?
Civil War.
That's what I'm asking.
No. The Second World War.
Yeah.
Ricky was on the Missouri.
Well,
Yeah.
That's Missouri. and
I'm getting-
he helped steer the
Getting there.
ship.
So how long were you in the Navy?
just under 2 years.
2 years?
Just under, yeah.
And then, so
This
you were on an actual battleship?
Yeah, they were all, all the ones that had been in the war, they were being discharged, so they were more or less filling in on the complement and stuff. But I got on, I don't know if I was lucky or not, but I got on the battleship Missouri, and that's where they signed the surrender, to the Japanese. So it was kind of a goodwill ship then. So I was
What do you
young.
mean they signed?
Well, there's a big plaque on there where they signed the surrender.
On the Missouri?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, nice.
Before you were on it?
Huh?
Before you were on it?
Yeah, just before I was on, but, when I got off, then they kind of paraded the ship around. That's where I picked it up in the New York harbor, because people came on to look at it, and, I was young, but I didn't know anything about it really, but
So you were more of a tour guide than an actual
no, I
naval?
wasn't even a tour guide then. I was just a,
So what was your role? What was your role on the ship?
well, eventually I wound up in what they call the quartermaster corps, which they help with the navigation. I steered the ship, but it was all under supervision naturally. I mean, I didn't say we're going here
Yeah.
with a big battleship.
Let's go over there.
They would tell you 10 degrees right or 20 degrees right or 20 degrees left or.
Did you ever, just in practice, did you ever fire any of those the big guns on the battleship? You ever see them going off?
No,
or-
but that's probably why I'm hard of hearing now, because I didn't start out in the quartermaster, department. I started out, I think, in the gunnery,
Yeah.
and they had these big 5-inch guns. Well, then when I was in the
The big
quartermaster.
shells?
Well, but anyway, you thought you were macho when you were younger. So I'd stand out and didn't flinch when they'd fire these, big guns. Well, that was kind of dumb, because they were kind of loud.
Yeah.
So, but, in a way it helped, because now I have selective hearing, which is good.
So where did the battleship, where did Missouri go? Where were you where were you stationed?
No, well, we traveled all over from New York. We went, in fact, we went down to Rio de Janeiro once and picked up the President Truman, of the United States, picked him up and then brought him back to the U.S. So I don't know if I still have some of the stuff from.
You stole stuff out of his,
No, I didn't steal stuff.
I mean, I might have done it. I mean,
No,
I wouldn't have blamed you. Probably would have done the same thing.
It wasn't like I taught my sons or what they learned. And we went up to Newfoundland, and we traveled up on the New England coast, and you'd anchor, and then people would come in and look at the plaque and tour the ship. But 2 years went. When 2 years were. Pardon?
were you on the boat full time, 2 years?
It's called a ship.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we were on that all the time.
Were any of your friends on that ship too?
No.
Howie or any of those guys?
No,
Did they go into the army or where were they?
no. Her friend Herb Wilson, who was my best man, he was stationed up in Adak, Alaska.
Yeah.
Way.
What, in the Navy?
In the Navy, yeah. On a little, so we all, we were all doing our own thing. But we kind of got out about the same time, so then we decided to go to school. We got out and we said, well, what are you gonna do? So
That's
Well,
when
I
you
had a-
decided on.
I had a friend of mine, one of them, Don Bringman, he got out earlier, and he was at Purdue, so we said, well, how you choose school, that sounds pretty good. So Herb Wilson and I signed up for Purdue.
Well, that answers one of the questions. How did you decide on Purdue? So were there any other options, or that was just kind of worked out?
Just kind of worked out, that's all.
Yeah.
Then, Herb, out of all 4 or 6 in the group, Herb Wilson is still living, and Dick, and he lives in Iowa City, he and his wife, and they wanted to come for give him a birthday dinner, but then they decided that
Well.
they'd wait until May. But anyway, he's the same age as Dick,
Mm-hmm.
and they're both still doing good.
Yeah, I can talk to them.
I talked to him, he sent a bunch of pictures and has
Some of the pictures on there were from.
handwritten on there,
Yeah,
some thoughts.
but, so, that's.
So when you went to Purdue, then did you know you were going into engineering right away? That was kind of an engineering school, or did you just?
Engineering, and I went into engineering. How I got into mechanical engineering part of it, who knows? Because I just, am I mechanical or what? It's not like today where you really, I guess, I don't think it's like it is today, but,
Asking,
we were mechanically inclined, and it sounded like a good,
Good thing to go into.
just sounded like a good future, that's all.
So speaking of that, so you jump out of Purdue. What was your first job coming out of there?
In a financial,
In the financial world?
yeah,
How long did it take them to fire you?
they did, I bounced around a little bit, but, but I knew I guess, when I got out, I knew I didn't want to be in the, quote, technical engineering part of it, more in sales.
So when you say financial, were you at a bank or where were you?
Yeah, it was mutual funds,
Mutual funds?
yeah, they were Nuveen.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that was kind of a connection with a relative who, how we got in there. But
How long
I
did you
probably-
work there?
Probably a couple of years,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you do another job after that? Or like where did so you go to Nuveen, and then at what point did you meet Grandma in the mix there? Were you at Nuveen at that point, or?
No, this was later.
That was early.
Yeah, let's see, 15. So I had to have a couple jobs before I met, because I was.
What other jobs? Because that's
Well,
how many jobs did you have?
then I worked
before?
worked from Nuveen. I think I went to John Manville, which was a insulation. They insulated
Pipes or?
trains and who knows what all. That was more of an engineering end of it. But then I went from there. I don't know how I got a hold of this. Went into a refrigeration engineering business called Acme, and that's when I met Joan.
I can tell you that story.
Well,
Because I was going out with another young man, and this was a church group, and they met once a month in a church, but we played games and stuff. And my boyfriend at the time was sick,
You had another boyfriend?
so he stayed home, and then he stayed home. And then, so anyway, I went with my sister, Carol. And so then you played games when you came in, you went into, you walked around and introduced yourself to everybody. And suddenly I saw this really good-looking young man, a new guy.
She was
that
hard,
had never
she was
been
hard
there.
of seeing then.
And I thought, you get name tags to sit at a certain table. And I thought, oh boy, I wish I could sit with him. And it turned out that he got the same table.
She was a real manipulator then.
I did have nothing to do with it, and he came, he was assigned my table, and he came and sat down right next to me, and that's when I met him, and we talked about everything and what we like to do and blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, why is he neat? And he asked me to take me out for ice cream.
Yeah, but, well,
And so I told my sister she had to drive home by herself, and I'm going out with this guy.
the problem,
What year was this?
had to be 54, because she was in a hurry to get married.
She was looking for MRS degree?
Yeah, right. But well, my problem there was, her last name was Bjork, B-J-O-R-K, Swedish, and I was able to pronounce it.
It wasn't, you didn't say Bajork?
No, I said Bjork, my mother's name was Bjork, and, that was my,
That was Signy.
That was your in?
Signy's.
Huh?
That was your in?
that was my, yeah, I was going the wrong way then.
So
I
that was kind of my question, was it, that answers that, was it love at first sight?
Oh, yeah, right. Oh, no, but, when we were growing up, at that, our age, that was a thing, I was getting, I don't know what I was, 25 or 26,
Yeah.
so, when we were growing up, you gotta get yourself
You were desperate?
to get, I wasn't desperate, but I found out I was. Anyway.
So where did you guys get married then?
Grace Methodist Church.
Grace Methodist Church?
And we had a ceremony, we invited 350 people to the ceremony.
350 people.
They all came, two of you, we had a big banquet afterwards. That was at the Southside Swedish Club.
Well, from that point, everything's history. How long ago was that?
63 years ago. 63 years ago.
62, 63, or whatever, if I can add right.
All right, well, anybody have any other, we know you worked at Auburn. How many years did you work at Auburn then, once you married Mom and made that shift?
Well, I worked for Auburn for a while, and then they decided I was, I don't know, that, she had two brothers-in-law, or he did. Her dad had two brothers-in-law in the business, and I don't know whether they decided I shouldn't be there or what, but then I left and
Fired you?
No, I don't know, it was kind of a mutual separation for a little while. I forget the whole detail, but then I worked for Standard Oil for a while. That probably would have, I probably could have gone, with the sales, I could have gone well with them, but then her dad bought the whole Auburn,
Yeah.
and then he had, he wanted her brother to go in. But he
Larry?
didn't- Yeah, he didn't want it, so I said, fine, I'm the easy guy. I said, fine.
You've been there about 64 years. Or were you
Where?
At Auburn.
Well, I don't know how long I was at Auburn, but, I just,
Not from today.
no, I just kind of, I went back to Auburn because her dad was
Yeah.
probably by default.
How many houses did you build?
Oh, yeah, well, I got into that a little bit when we built about, on the side, as a subcontractor, about 6 or 7 homes. But that, that had to end when I guess I took over Auburn,
Yeah.
and that was it.
Not enough time.
Well, yeah, you could do, I probably could have, but I should have, but I didn't. Anyway. So that's where we are. And then you guys came along.
Grandkids
Then-
have any
then you-
questions?
Then you guys came along and that ended the whole thing.
The Three Stooges. Well, I thought we would ask some questions because we don't ever really hear the whole story, so that's kind of good.
Very good. Yeah, that was,
There's a
brought back.
lot we skipped over, but
Yeah, a lot of things that. well,
anything special?
Luckily, you skipped over a lot of things.
What was your favorite trip in looking back? Like, what was all the trips that you took and things that you've done in your life? Because you guys have been all over the place. Putting you on the spot, but
Yeah, it'd be hard to say what we had some real good trips with different groups of our friends. We went up the Norwegian coast on a cruise with a bunch from our church at one time. We took a number of trips with our friends from, that we grew up, that we at church with, called them the Olsons and
yeah.
others, down into, they're good memories because, well, Norman, he was funny, and just good memories that we would have that wouldn't mean too much to anybody else.
What about the road trips with us in the station wagon? Those don't bring back good memories.
The leeches?
Driving to Florida in a station wagon together? Come on.
No, but
Ken and I beating on each other for 20 hours?
I can remember the trips in the station wagon with.
Sit down back there!
I remember where
I shut those off.
I remember more of the fishing trips with these guys. When we just on Little Lake fishing. And I had 3 guys, or 2, I don't know whether Neil was there all the time, and I had Joan, and she sat up in the front of the boat as a queen.
And I caught all
And we did.
Yeah.
And I had, I had the motor, and I had how many poles to take care of. Anyway.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it, right.
So Grandma used to sit in the front of the boat,
That's what I said.
and
You mean Mom.
she would have her licorice. And it was the only time I ever saw Grandma read a book in my life. It was on a boat, and she'd sit up in the front.
You need Grandma for them.
Yeah. And she'd sit up and read the boat. She had the pole off in her other hand. And she'd have her licorice. And she'd sit up there like the queen, and then she'd get a bite, and she'd have to put her book down and
I caught more fish than anybody.
it was hilarious.
Yeah.
What about the Alaska trip
I-
when we did a fly-in fishing trip?
Oh,
You remember that one?
I don't wanna remember it, no.
I'll never forget
Yeah, I
it.
know you will. That's why I don't wanna remember it. Just, no. Well, you,
We did some good trips.
yeah.
But you guys, you would leave and you'd go on to your business trips, and Ken and I would stay home. And we'd have the Swedish
Yeah.
Gertrude,
Gertrude, right.
you know, and she'd take better care of us than when you were there. We were fed well, and it was good.
She loved both of you. She really did.
So she could, yeah, when we were gone to Florida now and then, we'd leave them with
Gertrude, she was an old
Gertrude
Swedish
and-
lady.
these guys would, no wonder they get fattened up then. They had mashed potatoes and,
Meatballs.
You could smell she'd make these chocolate chip cookies, and we'd get off the bus and you could like smell them from the bus. And we'd come home every day and there'd be like 3 dozen chocolate chip cookies and be like,
see, that part of it we didn't know.
2 hours later it'd be like 3 pounds of mashed potatoes and meatballs.
Yeah, they had a lot of meatballs and mashed potatoes then, I'm sure.
And in the morning, she was up bright and early and just making us this huge breakfast. Yeah, she was funny. She listened to the Hawks game every night too. Remember that?
You do, we weren't there.
She'd go into her bedroom and she'd have her like little radio, like blasting in there, and the Hawks guy. She loved her hockey, but it was funny.
She was good. But that was our growing up, so it's gone by fast. So
90 years.
I can't
That's a
believe,
little bit more of your grandpa, your
can't believe it.
history.
Yeah. The only thing
Yeah,
I've
we
got
can-
now are numb toes, that's about it.
He went
We
he
can
used to go to
have
Alaska
a cake.
Huh?
And he stood in this freezing water, and he froze his toes. He froze his.
All right, thank you, Papa.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
I made it. Oh,
You got the job, you're hired.
the history's there now. Sure.